Just because the basketball world is shut down doesn't mean your knowledge of the game should too. Sports Business Classroom is here to go in depth on a different area of the business of basketball each week. Coming to you live from his home office, here's your host, Beau Estes.
That's right. We are in my home office where we're breaking a little bit of news. We got some news on the SBC Web Show about Sports Business Classroom. You can now register. We're having a virtual conference this year, August 10th through August 14th. Registration is now open, so please go to www.sportsbusinessclassroom.com/virtual-conference and get involved. I can tell you personally, because I know Larry Kuhn, myself, Dave Dufour, we are all grinding away in preparation for this big event that you're going to want to be a part of. So get involved, register now, and we'll see you at the SBC virtual conference this year, August 10th through August 14th. And before we continue on with the show, we want to thank our frontline workers who are doing so much for us. It's our frontline workers and responders. They are helping to keep us safe. So let's do our part and keep them safe. Wear a mask, folks. Protect yourself, protect them, and let's get through this thing. And finally, unequivocally, I want to state, and I know so many other people want to state they're involved with this program, Black Lives Matter. Clearly, we want to say this. I hope so many people got a chance to see what happened down at MLS last night. That was a pretty powerful statement from those soccer players, and it was moving for me. So again, very clearly, unequivocally, Black Lives Matter, folks. And now, without further ado, let's welcome in our guests, and we got some players on this week's show. So let's start off. You see him, Boeheim's Army. This is a name you recognize, Demetrius Nichols, who is a guy who wants to take my job. He wants to be a broadcaster after his career is over. I see that, Demetrius, and I'm a little concerned. He's an NBA veteran. He played for the Bulls. He played for the Knicks, and I believe with LeBron for the Cleveland Cavaliers. So welcome in, Demetrius. How you doing?
I'm doing well. And I don't want to take your job. I just want to sit at the table. That's all.
Okay, let's make that very clear right now. That's good to hear. And if you watch basketball, if you're following basketball anywhere in the world, this man is setting the world on fire right now. From House of Paign, I'm talking about Mike Daum, and you may have seen him last year at Summer League with the Portland Trail Blazers. Mike, how does it feel to be doing so well in the game of basketball? You must be doing well, man.
I'm doing very well. Thank you so much for having me on. But no, it's pretty fun right now. I'm glad we're still here in Columbus from start and hopefully to finish.
Yeah, I guess it's got to be an exciting time for you guys, but it's an interesting time. Let's talk about what you guys were doing. Obviously, we're in a quarantine worldwide, basically, sort of in and out. So, Demetrius, let's talk first with you. Where were you in the world, and how did your life change once COVID hit? Just take us through that whole story.
Well, I was home. I was actually recovering from surgery. I had surgery on my ankle, so I didn't play this past year because of my surgery. Sure. So I was basically home with my family. And in the beginning, I'll be honest, I wasn't taking it as seriously as I am now. And once I started to hit home, I had a couple of family members that tested positive for COVID. And that's when I started to say, hey, like this is really seriously. And this when and then when people started to wear masks outside, wearing gloves, staying 6 feet apart, you started getting reports on the news. And then eventually they shut down sports, shut down basketball. I was actually on my way to do a Westchester Knicks G League game, and I had to turn around on the high because the game was canceled because of this whole COVID thing.
Wow, it's interesting because I was on the air that day at NBA TV, and when the day started, my day was like I get a format from a producer who says we're going to talk about who's going to clinch a playoff seed tonight, who's going to clinch a final with the Boston Celtics that we're looking to clinch, and so that's just a normal day for me. And by the end of the day, the NBA was shut down. Now, Mike, you were not in America when this happened. You lucky dog. You were over in Spain, which must just be a wonderful place to be. Tell us about your experience over there leading up to that, and then that moment and what that was all like.
Yeah, it was a crazy time. Spain got hit right away, right behind Italy. Our numbers spiked so fast just because of those super hot cities like Barcelona and Madrid. And next thing you know, those numbers were going crazy. And for me, you know, I'm sitting there and we're going from playing a game on that Saturday to coach calling us in on like a Tuesday saying, hey, next game, there's going to be no fans. So we just kind of got to bring our own energy, and we're like getting ready, or, you know, getting prepped and ready for no fans at the next game. 2 days later on Thursday, he calls us back in and he's like, hey guys, you know, league is suspended indefinitely. And we don't know when it's going to go live again, or even if we're going to be able to finish. So from that point, coach was kind of advising us, you know, it was me and there was 2 other Americans on the team. And he said, if you guys want to try to get back to the States, now is probably a good time to do it. But there obviously is that small chance that you can resume season. So for me, I saw that and I was like, I might as well just stay here for now, just in case. But I went from, you know, playing basketball to them closing all the gyms down, and I'm like locked down in my apartment. But I felt like I was in the bubble already at my apartment. So it was just hanging out there. You know, I could only go outside to go to the grocery store, come back home, and then just trying to stay away from people as much as I could, just because obviously I wanted to be as safe as possible.
When did you make the jump back home?
I ended up coming back home. I'm trying to think. April 28th is like when I was able to find a flight, and it was kind of sketchy trying to get back home because the airport in my city in Spain was closed. So I ended up having to take kind of this super sketchy like bus ride across Spain to Madrid, then Madrid to London back to the States. But I got lucky that I was able to get back home still kind of in a fashionable time, you know, from all the travel bans and things and restrictions that were going on and being put in place.
Demetrius, you've got some stamps on your passport, I know. Does some of this stuff ring true to you, this sort of travel circumstances?
So as he's talking, I'm saying this is a typical day for us guys who play in Europe, because there's always, you're never surprised with these, whether it's a small plane, a small bus, a small ferry. You never know. You're always going to be surprised situations like that. So I'm not surprised that Mike had to go through something like that last minute.
Well, I want to touch on something for both of you guys. And we've had some trainers, we've had doctors on the show, other people. Staying fit in a quarantine has to be different. It's something that basketball players really haven't been challenged with before. Demetrius, for you, you're coming back from an injury. How did you stay fit? And all of a sudden, at some point, you're pointing to TBT. I'm going to be involved in this. I'm going to play in this. So how do you get from coming back from ankle surgery to I'm in quarantine and basically alone to staying fit and being ready to play basketball?
So the past 3 months, I'm fortunate to have a nice little gym downstairs in my basement, my man cave. So I'm able to, work out. I have a bunch of weights. I have a yoga mat, blue pad, resistance band. So obviously I'm not getting the work that I would usually get inside a weight room, but it's better than nothing. And I've been playing long enough to understand. I know how to take care of my body. I know what my body needs and things of that nature. So I was fortunate enough to work out downstairs in my basement. And even now in the hotel room during quarantine, I have my mat down here right now because I'm about to work out after practice. So, just trying to be creative, try to do things that you've learned from past trainers and while you was in college. So I try to mix that up and I try to, create my own little workout plan.
Now, Mike, you're younger, obviously, than Demetrius. You don't have the experience with how to take care of your body. You're a young guy. What did you do?
Mike,
it wasn't just eating burritos on the couch, was it?
I'm 24, not that
man.
young.
Oh, I wish I was 24.
I wish I could say I had a little gym back down in my basement. I could go
Takes
to.
time. Takes time.
For me, especially in Spain for that first month and a half of quarantine, I like Demetrius said, I had to just get creative. I was running, the stairs of my apartment every day I had just like 2 flights of 11 stairs, and I did that 100 times a day, just for like my main cardio. And then my girlfriend kind of became my personal trainer over FaceTime. I would make her create, like, I had 2 35-pound dumbbells, a 20-pound medicine ball, and like some bands. And I would say, you need to help me get creative. So we would FaceTime work out it for about an hour and 15 minutes each day. So that was just kind of what I did there. And then obviously when I was able to come back home to the States, I was fortunate enough to be able to get into a gym in my high school. And then my parents were able to come in and rebound so I could start to, kind of get in that basketball shape again, because it's different, just doing at-home workouts, riding a stationary bike, and then when you actually can get back on the court and getting up and down. So I was very fortunate the last month to be able to get on a basketball court, get up and down, and just start to kind of get a feel for the game again.
Okay, guys. So I guess the whole world's wondering, and Demetrius, we'll start with you again. You're coming to TBT. You're getting ready for this tournament. What's it like going inside the bubble? Tell us the whole experience. Did you learn anything? Was anything new for you? Was it what you expected? Just tell us all about it.
Well, as soon as we touched down at the hotel, we had a bunch of checkpoints. It kind of reminded me of, going through an airport where they check your temperature, they check your luggage, and then once you get inside the building, you have to take the COVID test, and then guys have to figure out, guys have to stay in their rooms for 2 days to be quarantined until they get their test results back. So things like that is, it was very, very interesting. And then as we're here in the room, we continue to have to take our tests every other day. We take a COVID test. I just took one this morning. So it was, they're doing a great job. TBT is doing a fantastic job of making sure that everyone is safe and careful, because people are still, people are still getting positive tests back. So everyone is making sure that they are staying 6 feet apart. Guys are wearing their masks, wearing gloves. So far, so good. And TBC, like I said, are doing a great, fantastic job of making sure that everybody is safe.
So then, in your case, Mike, you're prepping for this tournament. I know the team switch for you and everything like this. What's your experience? I mean, you had the European experience and the coming home experience. Was the bubble what you expected? Was it more than what you expected? Is it different than what you expected? How was it for you?
I mean, it was pretty much what I expected. I understood everything coming into the TBT, just because, obviously the TBT in general did a great job of just keeping us informed before even getting there. I mean, they told us that we were going to have, these checkpoints and things to do. So for us, I took, 3 COVID tests before I even showed up to Columbus, kind of just piggybacking off what Demetrius was saying. You just have to pass these certain checkpoints. And then once you're in the room, you just kind of hang out, and you have to create your own, free time, fun time, whatever you want to do. For me, I brought my PlayStation to play a little bit. But outside of that, it's fun just because, for me, I'm playing on a team where I didn't really know the guys personally before I got here. So being able to go up to our team room, and we have a lounge area where just, your teammates can hang out. I was able to get to know those guys well. It's easy to pass the time. It's kind of just like a throwback to a AAU tournament or going to camp as a little kid, where you're just stuck in your room. You can go to the gym and you can go back, and that's about it. So it's been fun. It's been interesting. But at the end of the day, the TBT has done such a great job of just putting player safety and health as a highest priority.
And they seem to be setting a wonderful example for how things are going. I mean, TBT's knocking it out of the park as far as I'm concerned. Now, Demetrius, you've played around the world. You played in the NBA. You played at a big college program like Syracuse. Tell us about the competition at TBT. How are you feeling about the competition? You're coming right back into it as well off an injury.
The competition is very, very high. Even though TBT has dropped from 60 teams to 24 teams, you still got some pretty good players, high-level players that play high-level basketball in Europe. And every night you can lose. It doesn't matter who you are, what stage you've played on, what league you played in. This is a TBT tournament, so we're playing 4 games, 1 game elimination. So every game, every possession, you have to play it like it's your last. There's no relaxing or chill mode where guys can just relax. So every possession, you have to play it like it's life or death. And that's great basketball, because you can tell that everybody is hungry, everybody's excited to play. And we were just fortunate enough to play well these past 2 days, and we just want to continue to build and grow and try to find ways to win.
And now, Mike, you played obviously in Summer League last year. You've played in Europe at a high level. From your perspective, what's the competition like? And I'd like to add, your shooting percentage is through the roof right now. And it seems like guys are making a ton of shots. I would expect Rusty, honestly, like you feel like, okay, guys are in quarantine. It's going to be tough. How are they going to come right back? And it seems like everybody's just knocking down shots. You especially, Mike. How are you finding the competition, and how in the world are you able to knock down these shots if you haven't been playing as much?
Yeah, the competition level is super, super high. I mean, obviously, you have guys from all over the place. NBA, played in NBA, played in EuroLeague, played at such high-level teams, joining forces, with each other to play in this kind of tournament. So it's fun because that going into this tournament, it's not just, another basketball game. It's high-level basketball. And, this is like going into any other thing. You have to prep for it. You have to mentally prepare yourself for what's going on. And I mean, obviously the tournament has done such a great job of marketing itself over the years of recruiting high-level basketball players that want to play in this, which in turn obviously is going to bring in more people to watch, and obviously not this year, but more fans. It's been fantastic. And then, first off, the hoops have been pretty amazing at the gym. And for me, coming out, I feel like I don't really think too much about being rusty. It's just like muscle memory shooting the ball. My AAU coach would always say it's like riding a bike. It just never goes away. So for me, I mean, just being able to stay in the gym before I got here, it's obviously a great setup we have here in the hotel with those 4 practice courts, and guys can really just come in and get a feel again for, shooting the ball. And I feel like it is for any basketball player. The shooting never really goes away. You obviously might be a little rusty here and there, but at the end of the day, it's just we're playing a game. We're enjoying it. We're living out dreams since we've had that little kids. And I feel like guys can just go out and give it their all. And we're going to knock down shots.
How about for you, Demetrius? You feel like you're chipping off a little rust still since you're coming back from an injury as well, right?
For sure. I'm probably the oldest guy here in the TBT tournament. I'm going on 36 years old. But kind of what Mike said, it's like riding a bike. When you've been playing for so long at a high level, you can just go out there and play. And the rims are actually very, very soft here. And the 3-point line is the European line. So a lot of these guys who play in the TBT play in Europe. So it's like you said, it's all about the muscle memory and understanding that this is basically like playing a 5-on-5 game in practice because we don't have any fans. Guys are like just playing a high level, intense 5-on-5 when they're in Europe. But now we're just playing for $1 million. But hopefully I got the rust off the first game, and hopefully I come back better the next game.
And I like to quote, we're just playing for $1 million. That's all. I'd love to be playing for $1 million, fellas. Sure. Demetrius, you're eventually going to retire unless your body just keeps on trucking until you're 50 and playing basketball. And you're gonna take up a career in broadcasting. That's a part of our SBC program. The media is a portion of our program. Tell us about sort of your idea, your dreams in broadcasting, and going to Syracuse. That's one of the best schools in the world for broadcasting. So you went to a school that is famous for that.
Yeah. Well, speaking was a weakness of mine, and I wanted to turn it into a strength.
When was it a weakness?
Years ago when I was younger, and I just wanted to always told myself that I wanted to speak. I just never knew on what level I was going to be able to speak at, whether it's through coaching, public speaking. And when the broadcasting opportunity came up, I just attacked it. And it started out with actually doing my first game on the radio last year in Syracuse when Syracuse played. I'm not sure who they played. I think it was Team Brotherly Love. I got an opportunity to do 3 games on the radio with my great partner, Brian Higgins. And that turned into an opportunity to do some stuff with the ACC Network Extra with Matt Park, which is another great friend and mentor who has taught me so many things in a short period of time. Also did some work in the studio with Olivia Skomsky. And then I got a great opportunity to do some stuff with MSG Network for the G League Westchester Knicks with David Resnick. So I've been fortunate enough to be around some great people, great mentors, great teachers who have been doing it for a long time. and I'm just trying to soak everything up. And so far, so good. I just hope that I continue to get opportunities. And I love the game. I love talking about the game. I love watching the game. I love teaching the game, whether it's verbally or physically. I just love everything about the game. You can learn something every single day if you put your mind to it. So far, so good. I really, really thoroughly enjoy it.
Okay, Bill. So before we jump back over to Mike, you just saw those clips of Mike playing. I know you're doing some analysis and some broadcasting. So we're going to run those clips again now. I'm going to set you up. Tell us what you're seeing on the court here as an analyst here.
Me right now? Or
yeah, go for it, man.
Oh, yeah. So you see Mike just had a pick and pop just right there. He has a nice stroke. He's holding this follow through. And that's what it takes. Just like we mentioned, these rims are very, very soft. And Mike is the guy that obviously look at him. He's attacking the basket right now using his two-hand flush, but he's like a stretch 4, stretch 5, which is a deadly weapon in any level, whether it's college, NBA, Europe. When you can shoot the ball at a high clip, at a high percentage, when you're that tall, you can play anywhere in the NBA. And I honestly expect him to get a chance to play in the NBA, whether it's Summer League or the G League. I think he can be a really good player, stretch 4, stretch 5. And that's what the game of basketball is coming to. It's the 3 is the most popular thing now. And obviously you can see Mike able to knock those shots down. So I think sky's the limit is for him.
You made it look easy, man. You just breezed right on through that, bud. Good stuff. So, Mike, he's talking about you and he's talking about your career. You're playing wonderfully at TBT. You're averaging a double-double, and I think the numbers are 22 points and 10 rebounds a game, which is fantastic.
That's tough, young fella.
Yeah. And so think about it. Demetrius pointed out something. Demetrius has been around for a minute. The game has changed since he was at Syracuse. Big guys that can defend and shoot three-pointers and drive. That's what the league's all about at this point. So tell us, you're having this moment where everybody's talking about you, and the NBA is getting ready to start again in Orlando. There's going to be spots open. There may be spots down the road. What are you focusing on? I know you got to get through this TBT, and I know you'd like a big check. Tell us about how you try to parlay this opportunity into an even bigger future that may build a basement in your gym at some point.
First off, I want to thank D for the kind words. Obviously, coming from a guy like that, it means a lot to me, someone who looks up to players like that. So thank you. And moving forward, for me, something that's always been talked about, something that people have said I need to work on a lot is my defense. So I've always kind of like D said with his public speaking, I've taken that and I've kind of run with it. And I'm trying to make the most out of it with losing some body weight, putting on some more muscle, because I want to prove, to these NBA scouts, these NBA teams, or these EuroLeague teams, these high level basketball clubs, that I can guard these positions that are smaller than me, and I can prove that I'm more versatile than maybe I was in college, or maybe I even was last year in summer league, or moving into my first year as a pro. So for me, I'm very opportunistic with what I do. I'm also realistic with what's going on. I understand that, the NBA would be a fantastic opportunity if I got that call, but I also know that it's rare and you have to work your butt off. And even though if you're playing at a super high level, you might not get noticed, but that's where, for me as a guy, the mindset I have is I just have to keep working. I never know when someone's watching. I never know when I could get that call, late night in a gym when I'm working and I know somebody else says, yo, Mike's in the gym. I never know. But for me, I just need to keep working. And that's something that I've loved, ever since I was a little kid. Just the game of basketball has been something I can't get enough of. I feel like I'm a gym rat and I can't get enough of it. So, moving forward, it's just, hearing these things that I need to improve on and really taking that and applying it when I go into the gym. So I just hopefully keep working. Obviously I want to play basketball as long as I can. Hopefully as long as Demetrius has played, as long as my body holds up. But it's a great opportunity, obviously, using the TBT to try to get my name out there a little bit more. And whatever happens. Like you said, I'm trying to just focus one game at a time and get to the end of this road in Columbus. So it's a fun experience, and I'm looking forward to the future.
Well, Mike, I'll tell you a quick story. I went and saw a high school basketball All-American player, and this is a kid that's 7'1", but he's a 3-point shooter. I go back to work at NBA TV later that night. I see David Griffin, now the head guy in New Orleans, and I tell David I went to see him. And the first thing he asked me, and I think he's going to ask me about his skills, whatever. He's like, "Can he guard on the perimeter?" That's the first thing he asked me. That was his priority. Can this guy guard on the perimeter? Because if not, we can't keep him on the court. Basically, that's the thought. Yeah. And Demetrius, I'm sure for you, the game has changed so much since you came in. Tell us about the changes you've seen.
Well, it starts with a 3-point shot. Obviously, the 3-point shot was important, but now these guys will go on a 3-on-1, 2-on-4 fast break instead of going for a layup. Guys would run to the 3-point line to try to make the shot. So the 3-point line is very, very, like it's evolving, and the analytics say that the 3-point shot is better than a layup. So that has definitely changed. Defensively, could be a little bit better. Guys don't really play enough defense for me personally, but I would say no. Well, you see, and that's the bad rumor that Syracuse has. A lot of Syracuse players can play great defense.
Sure.
I actually turned into one of the great defensive players in Europe. That's why I was blessed to play on 2 of the top 5 teams in all of Europe and win the EuroLeague championship because of my defense. And this is some advice for Mike is, if you can control what you can control, do the work that you have to do, eat right, stretch, do your training, find a trainer that works for you, and put yourself in a position to be successful, the cream always rises to the top. And that has always been my motto. If you put the work in, teams are going to find you, whether it's top EuroLeague teams, whether it's NBA teams. You're still very young. So if you continue to grind and stay humble, stay hungry, and keep your eyes on the prize, like you said, you never know what would happen.
Well, Mike, let's talk about something. You come to TBT, and you said you didn't really know the guys. Tell us about the relationships you're building at TBT, this experience, and maybe even outside your team, inside your team, what it's meant to you.
It means a ton. For me, I'm a guy who's really big on building relationships. That's just been, a part of me and a part of how I play and how I like to incorporate myself with a team. I mean, ever since I was a little kid, it seems like from my AAU team to my college teammates, those are all guys that I still stay in touch with just because we laid those foundations of, like we're family, like we're playing in this together. We're trying to do something special together. So moving into the TBT, I mean, obviously I knew the GM, Mike LaTulip, really well. I knew one of the players, Mike Finke, really well. And those were really the only 2 guys going into this. So when I got here, you never know what to expect. You never know how certain guys are going to be. Obviously I'm the new kid around here. I'm not, Illini alumni coming in. So for me, I just wanted to make sure I got there and got to know the guys. And they did such a fantastic job of just welcoming me in. I know right away that first practice we had out on the court, you could just tell the energy was something different. And you could just tell these guys were a group of guys who were bought into winning. And at the end of the day, that's such an important thing, especially in a tournament like this, where, I've seen in the past, some guys will just go out and try to get theirs. And our guys aren't like that at all. We're not ego filled. We don't want to do anything out of our own element. We just want to do whatever it takes to win. So that's another thing that's kind of driven our relationship to, keep growing is we're all in this together. And we talk about how much our relationship is fun on the court and off the court. We're hanging out, we're watching movies, we're just laughing about everything. We're eating our meals together. So for me, it's been awesome because this is another group, another team that's going to, share a special place in my mind. I'm going to talk to these guys, for the next however many years, just because of this special thing that we've created here and cultivated in Columbus. So it's been awesome.
Demetrius, one of the things we teach at Sports Business Classroom is the value of networking, the value of relationships. And I'm sure with your career, you've built a lot of relationships and you've learned that. Tell us about the relationships you're building this year at TBT and how important that really is in your experience.
Well, relationships are everything. without relationships, I probably would have never got the opportunity to play basketball, to do broadcasting, to even sit here with you. So relationships are everything, and you are taught that in high school from your high school coaches. College coaches always say, make sure you say things like, please, may I, thank you, you welcome. Small things like that can go a long way. By looking somebody in their eye and shaking their hands and introducing yourself, things like that go a long way. So relationships are everything, and as a team, I'm able to get to know the young guys that played in different eras than when I played. So they're learning from me, I'm learning from them. They are a little bit more facet than I was when I was younger, but we can still learn, we can still grow, and just try to talk about the game and try to learn something every single day. And so far, it's been pretty good.
Yeah, obviously has been pretty good. Tell us a little bit about you guys obviously are in a bubble. The NBA is getting ready to, really go into their bubble. Teams are arriving now. What are you seeing down there, Mike? We'll start with you. If you've seen anything on the news, and maybe even thoughts on how best to handle this bubble, since you've been in it a while.
I mean, the best thing you can do is to just buy in and listen to the guidelines and what everyone is saying. For guys heading down there to Orlando, it's probably different than anything they're going to experience, just in terms of, you're not going to have as many resources down there as you normally would at home or when you're at your practice gym, your facility. So you just got to follow guidelines. But I mean, for me, I would look at that as another opportunity to just really, really indulge in the team and really, put myself in a position where I'm doing everything I can to make sure I'm ready to play. I'm doing everything I can to protect my health and things like that. So I've been kind of on and off social media watching things about that. I don't know how the food situation is going to be down there in Orlando. I've been seeing some pretty funny tweets about the airplane food they're getting down there, but no, it's. I mean, obviously, the NBA is going to put on a great show down there for those guys, and they're going to make sure they're taking care of them. It's just going to be, up to the players again to have the responsibility to make sure they're taking care of themselves, taking care of the coaching staff, and taking care of everything that's going on right now.
Demetrius, you've been in the league. You know what it's like. What are you seeing from what's going on down in Orlando, and how how do you think this is going to play out?
Well, from what I heard is they're going to be kind of taken care of. And the TBT experience is kind of like the introduction to what they could be possibly going through, from getting quarantined for 48 hours in the beginning. Once they get there, they're going to be quarantined and they're going to have to take a COVID test. But they have a lot more access than we have. They have a players lounge. They're going to have spa services, barbers. They have a bowling alley. They can play ping pong. And also, I've heard that guys can have their chef make their food and drop it off to them. So I'm pretty sure a lot of these guys have millions and billions of dollars. I'm pretty sure they're able to have their chefs and people drop stuff off for them. I heard guys are already ordering wine, to their rooms and stuff like that. So they are going to be taken care of, and I'm pretty sure the NBA is going to cross every T, dot every I to make sure that players are safe. There are going to probably be some positive tests, but as I heard, they're not going to stop that from guys from playing. And if a guy is positive, they're going to be out the bubble for 14 days until they can re-enter the bubble. So, they're going to do everything they possibly can to make sure everybody is safe and healthy.
Demetrius, these are the final questions I got for you guys. I know you got practice coming up soon. One thing we ask every one of our guests on this show, and it's interesting to ask you guys this because you guys are in your active playing career now. Advice for students, because we've got people that are just coming out of college, sort of like Mike recently coming out of college. How the world changes, right? Everything's sort of press pause and everything like that. So how do you best use your time so that you can advance your career in whatever you're going to do? If you're going to be a player, if you're going to try to go in to be a GM one day, if you're going to be a broadcaster, how do you best use your time during this pause in the world, Demetrius?
I would say from experience, listen, watch, and learn. You want to be around people who are smarter than you, who are older than you, who who are doing the same things that you want to potentially do. For me, I'm a big guy on success, so I study success. I want to get into broadcasting, so I study guys like Jalen Rose, Seth Greensburg, Fran Francella, Jay Billis. All those guys do a great job on TV, so those are the guys that I'm going to study. I would say also read instead of doing other things that are not going to get you towards your goal. Make sure you're doing everything in your power to help you get to your goal or to your dream, and hopefully good things will start to happen.
Mike, you're recently out of college. You got 1 year under your belt now. So any advice for students? It's basically you're living it. What are the best practices? What are the things that you're finding are helping you most advance your career, especially during lockdown?
Yeah, Demetrius said it best. I like to say be a sponge. I like to absorb any information I'm around. For me, obviously playing basketball, you just have to be willing to sacrifice, things that you might want to do to just better yourself. If that's not playing video games, if that's not, hanging out with your friends, if that's trying to get into the gym. And obviously during these trying times, it's at home. You can always be doing ball handling, things like that, or stretching, or just making sure that you're eating correct and putting the things in your body that are gonna, make you feel better at the end of the day. You just have to be willing to put in the time and the effort. And I feel like, as a young guy, I've really started to realize that out of college is if I want to see myself, keep growing as a player, keep succeeding, I have to be willing to, do this stuff that's going to help me in the long run. So just time and effort, being able to, not sacrifice, important things in your life. But you can always find time to just get better at whatever you want to do and continue to succeed.
All right. So if they keep winning, you may get to see Demetrius against Mike at TBT. Yeah. It's Boeheim's Army, potentially against House of Paign. And as Dimitri said, they're just playing for $1 million. That's all. It's nothing big. It's nothing to worry about. Just $1 million. There's a look at the bracket. So if they keep winning, this could play out. We'll probably have to revisit this if this actually happens.
Sure.
So we'll talk a little bit more about that. But Demetrius, thank you so much. We're going to let you get to practice. Mike, you can get back to video games, I'm sure. So enjoy yourself.
I appreciate it.
Maybe something else, Mike.
I got practice coming up here in a little bit too. So
okay, practice coming up for you as well. Guys, best of luck both at this tournament at TBT. I want all you guys to watch TBT and especially in the future going forward. Thanks so much for joining us.
I appreciate it.
Appreciate you.
And as a reminder, everybody, Sports Business Classroom, you're going to want to be there at sportsbusinessclassroom.com. That's August 10th to the 14th. And you can see registration is now open. We're really putting together a fantastic program. You heard from Mike. You heard from Demetrius. You'll be hearing from people that are involved in the NBA. You'll be hearing from experts throughout the entire virtual conference. Larry Kuhn's hard at work. Dave DuFour's hard at work. I'm hard at work trying to make this the best program we can put together, and we're really excited about it. So get involved. sportsbusinessclassroom.com/virtual-conference will get you there. Get registered. Be a part of the experience. And finally, check out our other shows on the Hall Pass Network. Pickup Game with Seth Greenberg, who's having a fantastic time up at TBT. That's live every Monday. Boy, Seth had some wonderful things to say about Mike in a tweet earlier. And then it's Basketball Jones with Mark Jones. You've seen him on ESPN. That's live every Tuesday. And finally, it's this show you're watching right here, Sports Business Classroom Web Show, hosted by yours truly. And with that, we say thanks so much for joining us again on the Sports Business Classroom Web Show.